All right, so good evening, everyone, here from the Storm Track 5 weather team. I'm meteorologist Kit Alexander. We have some observed flooding that's been occurring in Russell County. Let's talk about that first of all. We'll kind of zoom in. Number one, there's already been quite a bit of rain that's already been falling in parts of Smith County and Russell County, but those flood advisories are in effect for both Russell and Smith County in Virginia. Of course, we still have those flood watches in effect as well for Buchanan and Dickinson County in Virginia. That will last until 11 o'clock, but really wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't get extended as well. So let's take a look here. This is kind of what we're looking at here on satellite and radar. Notice we've had several clusters of showers and some embedded thunder showers that's really just been kind of training over the same area. We're looking at some of that back in Saltville. Check that out. Some heavy rain there. We can probably, one second here, we'll pull up the rainfall rates. Kind of get an idea of what some of those rates are pretty close to Saltville, just to the southeast and also to the southwest. So it looks like those rainfall rates are in between about 1.5 inches to 1.6 inches per hour. So obviously some heavy downpours falling there. That is just to the south of Saltville. We've also had some heavy rain falling in parts of Smith County as well. We'll go ahead and pan back out here a little bit. 1 second, there we go. So putting this into motion. If you're watching us on the Facebook live stream there, Saltville into Marion, I'm sure you probably hear a little bit of the thunder too. There's a lot of thunder shower activity that's moving through that area. That's part of that same area where we do have that flood advisory in effect. Notice that the torrential amount of rain, that is what we're concerned about, folks. Keeps going over the same area, just over and over. All right, let's talk a little bit about the rainfall past 3-hour estimates here. Look at this. This is something that Skylar and I have been looking at. 3-hour rainfall estimates over 2 inches in places there. Extreme northern parts of Smith County, 2.2 inches falling at the moment. Also back into Russell County, check that out there. One bullseye, about 2.5 inches has fallen. That's just in the past 3 hours. So that's an incredible amount of rain. Unfortunately, there's more to the north and west. We'll look at that here in just a minute too. Almost 2 inches has fallen in Marion here the past 3 hours. Let's pan back out. Give you a little better perspective. Notice we have some pretty heavy thunder shower activity up to the north and west. Thankfully not seeing anything as far as severe, meeting that severe criteria. We have had some strong thunderstorms technically been moving through at times in a couple spots that reached about 40-mile-per-hour gust or so. Thankfully nothing severe in that regard quite yet. Something we'll be monitoring, but certainly at the moment this is technically a strong thunderstorm that's moving through Marion. And at one point, I know it was at least giving an indication of winds maybe up to 40 miles per hour in spots. Looks like we still have that special weather statement on that. Otherwise, more activity back up in the northeastern parts of Washington County, not far from Glade Spring. Hello, you are seeing the heavy rain just to the north of there, back into Saltville. Really looking at the heavy rainfall. Let's look back towards the north and west. That's some of those rainfall rates that we saw earlier in the day. And then looking in northeast Tennessee, don't want to leave you folks out if you're watching on the stream. By the way, if you have any questions or any comments, concerns, feel free to put them in the chat there. We'll try to get to some of those questions. Here's a look at northeast Tennessee right now, looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies. Thankfully not looking at near as much rainfall. The rainfall is concentrated pretty much in southwest Virginia this evening, and that's where you see the reds, the oranges. That's indicating the heavier amounts of rain just training over the exact same spots. We've been seeing this here the past 2-3 hours for parts of Smith County back into Russell County. Kind of like what happened with Daint there just a couple days ago, just the rain going over and over in the same exact spots. So yeah, this is the focal point. Back up towards Marion into Saltville, you see some of the heaviest rainfall currently moving to the south and southeast. Some of these are a little bit slow moving, so it's going to take some time, unfortunately, and that's why they're dumping so much rain, at least one of the reasons. Here's a look at Grundy. We've seen some heavier rain there. It's continuing to move over to the south and the east between, it looks like right to the north and west of Oakwood. Van Sant and Grundy getting in on the heaviest of that rainfall. We'll pan it back out here. Here's eastern Kentucky. we have some more shower and thunder shower activity back that direction, and that's another reason we're worried. So what's really been happening from the synoptic viewpoint, we have a frontal boundary that's been a slow mover back to the north and west. You can really kind of pick it out here in parts of Indiana back into Illinois, even without me drawing it on here. Actually, I will just kind of pull it up here, kind of give you a little idea. It's kind of shaped something kind of like that. Well, anyway, so the general flow has been from northwest to southeast, and for around Kentucky, back into Indiana, Illinois, we've seen some of those severe thunderstorm warnings. And in fact, if you zoom in, we even have one tornado warning back to the north with some of that those pulses that's coming in from that cold front. You see that just to the south of Cincinnati. So on a good note, the general thinking with any severe weather has been we might see some winds gusting, possibly up to 60. Hasn't really been what I would really term as a high shear environment, but what we are concerned for is, of course, those torrential amount of downpours and some high winds, possibly in spots up to maybe 60. That's something we'll monitor. But definitely at the moment, the flood threat, that's what we're looking at. No severe storms at the moment. Keep our fingers crossed. That's the way we want it. But you see all that heavy rain. There we go, Southwest Virginia. Here's another view. We've seen some areas of lightning associated with some of those thunderstorms, thunder showers. Nothing, like I said, severe, but still a lot of torrential amounts of downpours. So check it out. It's to the south of Pikeville. At times, we've seen a little bit of an outflow boundary, kind of initiating some more development as well back up that direction. And unfortunately, that usually kind of gets some more initiation going, and we'll probably see a little bit more of that activity move through the night. In fact, a couple of these most recent model runs have been really highly indicating that we're going to see some pretty heavy amounts of rain here in Southwest Virginia here for the next 2-3 hours. And eventually, some of that will likely move into Northeast Tennessee too. All right, before we continue on with that, let's see, let's give you a brief update on the forecast. We'll kind of do that. Then we'll go back and look at radar one more time. So, as you can tell, we're still in that elevated scattered flood risk. That is for tonight. That will also continue into Monday. That's just, eventually we're going to break this pattern. Once we get that cold front moving through, I think sometime Tuesday we'll start to bring these rain chances down a little bit. Certainly by Wednesday and Thursday, we'll start to see some nice improvement. It's just going to turn kind of hot on us, but we'll see those temperatures closer to 90. So I know earlier we mentioned the chance for an isolated strong storm. We've already seen the strong part. Now we're just waiting to see if we get anywhere up close to severe criteria, which would technically take us closer to the 60-mile-per-hour winds. At the moment, not there. Thankfully, we do not want that. That is exactly right. So hopefully we'll keep that away. But the main risk with any storm, besides the downpours that's happening, the main risk would be maybe some winds in excess, possibly up as high as 60 miles per hour. Here's a look at those 24-hour rainfall estimates. Now, I showed you some of the higher totals there a little bit ago, but you can see that evidenced by the brighter colors here. Parts of Buchanan County still looking at close to 2 inches there just in the last 24 hours. View of satellite radar still shows some of those storms off to the north and northwest. Those will continue to trough to the south and east. Northeast Tennessee, you're in decent shape right now. We're seeing those temperatures very muggy. That's another reason why we're seeing so much rainfall activity. The atmosphere is loaded in terms of moisture. Dew points are well into the 70s. Even with the rain falling, it looks like temperatures will mainly hold in the 70s, around 70 degrees for a low tonight. We were 73 for a low last night, which is just incredible. As we head through tomorrow, looks like we'll see more scatter showers and storms. This looks to be the highest rain chances besides tonight. Tomorrow will feature the highest chances of rain before those rain chances go down a smidge by Tuesday. 86 degrees for your Monday. Now let me see, let me jump on the chat here, see if we have any questions. Thank you. Beverly, you're very welcome. Mark Parks, what is causing all the rain and the heat? So that's a great question. So really, the global pattern is because of the jet stream. Ultimately, we have the subtropical jet that's been pretty much holding in this kind of zonal flow. We've been locked into the summer-like pattern now for a while. And when you get the subtropical jet actually far enough north, we really don't see much activity other than just your typical summer-like thunderstorms. And it keeps us with that generally warmer flow. We've seen that for the past few days. But now, since you mentioned the rain, The rain is in association with that weak cold front that's to the north and west. So that's like the focal point in addition to the typical convective-like thunderstorms. So yeah, great question there, Mark. Mark Allen, what about Sugar Grove, Virginia? Let's take a quick look at that. You're going to have some scattered showers and storms around Sugar Grove, I know, for tonight. Know that for a fact. In fact, let's see. Let's go down to the rainfall totals. We'll kind of give you an estimate. You can pick it out here on the map. And area-wide. So, yeah, regardless of where you're watching from, here's kind of your rainfall estimate. So it looks like a good inch to inch and a half there for around Sugar Grove. Maybe, yeah, and it may vary a little bit there just depending on your location. Pat Woods Burton in the house here tonight, watching from East Stone Gap. Thank you for watching us there. Pat, thank you so much. Honaker, Carlin Stinson, Honaker, Virginia. So, yeah, again, be looking at some rain around. Hopefully, we'll keep that flooding threat diminished, but at the moment, there's still some heavy rain to the north and west, so we'll be watching that. Tazewell County, more of the same there. You see Richlands total up there. If you get north of Richlands, it's actually going to be approaching closer to 2 to 3 inches plus of rainfall for around there. Clintwood, Tracy Mullins, yeah, you're back in that bullseye there for about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain through tonight and tomorrow, so some scattered activity tomorrow. Christine Ripe Hobbs, hope I said your name right there. Christine, thank you for watching. Just received a lot of rain in Rosedale. Yeah, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, there's still going to be some more rounds of rain there, and I know Daint, not too far away from Rosedale, unfortunately was really getting in on that flooding. I know Rosedale has been pretty close to that bullseye for the heavy rain today, and we've seen plenty. Will we get any rain tonight? Johnson County, yes, we will. Yes, we will. There will be some scattered showers, thunderstorms around. So, David, curious to know exactly what part of Johnson County. Are you close to Mountain City, or are you a little bit closer to the western North Carolina line? I think we may get a little bit less rain as you go closer to the highest mountains there in western North Carolina. Tracy Ellswick, how much did you say Saltville, Virginia received over the past few hours? Oh, we can look at that. We can look at that here real quick. And if you're watching from northeast Tennessee, expect some more scattered showers and thunder showers around tonight too, with about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So here's the past 24 rainfall estimates. Let's see, we're going to look at this. Saltville, Virginia. Let me see if I can zoom in a little closer here to Saltville. One jiffy. Where's my precip rate? Just 1 second there. I gotta find what I'm looking for. There it looks like. Let's try a rainfall query. Woo! 2.3 inches there, pretty close to Saltville. And this is over the past 24 hours, a little bit northwest of there, 1.3 inches. So obviously it does vary depending on your location. But yeah, definitely some higher rainfall totals there. So yes, Tracy, it has definitely been raining around. Landon, has the corn sweat had anything to do with this rain? So on a more of a synoptic pattern or a larger perspective, it's really increased the humidity in the Midwest, and so you have to think about it as a whole. So unfortunately, where it increases the humidity to a larger degree on a bigger scale, it can actually weaken the overall effects behind cold fronts. So in essence, it actually can affect the weather even here. Maybe not as on a larger scale as like something stronger, like something from the Arctic or a big cool spell or some really warm air in the Gulf. But yes, actually it can have an effect here as well. B, Virginia, yeah, you'll have some rainfall tonight, some scattered showers off and on. Grundy, Virginia, Andrea. Grundy, Virginia, we've been getting heavy rain off and on already. I believe that. Yes, it has been raining up there. Here, let me broaden out the perspective so folks can see a little bit more, and I'll answer a few more questions here. Here's a look at satellite radar. Do you expect any flash flooding in Dixon County, Virginia? Rebecca, yeah, there's a chance. I would say if it doesn't actually flash flood there, it will likely be within a few miles. I would not be surprised, unfortunately. Actually, here, let me show you a little bit more of that northwesterly flow. Check out these showers up to the north and west there of Dickinson County. That's something to monitor. David Shoup, yes, Mountain City. Yeah, we'll see some scattered activity tonight, probably easily another inch and maybe a tenth, quarter or so there for Mountain City. For David, Christina, Bandy, Virginia, flooding concerns. You know, it's still technically in the level 2 to my knowledge, so there's still that elevated threat. to my knowledge, for there. So even if it doesn't flow directly in Bandy, if you're talking about Bandy, now, unless you maybe mean Bristol. Bristol, I don't think we'll see maybe as much flooding concerns, but still, you can get too much rain too fast, and then unfortunately, a couple inches per, maybe in 3 hours, and we'll be looking at a flash flooding threat pretty much anywhere, any of these locations. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at now. Thanks for all these questions, by the way. Thank you for putting those in the chat, and Skylar for getting this information to me. So yeah, here's the broader perspective. More shower storms tonight. We'll also, let's see, I know it's 8:38. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a quick look at a little bit more data. Let's look at future track, and let's look at the 7-day. And by the way, have a way to receive warnings too. That's really the best way to go. As long as you can receive those warnings, you'll be alerted if you get some kind of flooding, whether it be river flooding or flooding closer to your neighborhood. Just have a way to receive the warnings. Storm Track 5 app's a good way to get those. It's free. App Store, Google Play, that's the way to go there, or weather radio or multiple other sources as well. So let's time things out. Here's 10 o'clock. Check it out. Latest run of the IBM graph showing some heavy rain from Clintwood up to Grundy, and even some heavy rain potential there in Wise County. And I wish we were at the point that we could take things completely literal. This may vary by a little bit, maybe a little bit. But one thing we're noticing on radar is that rain is off towards the north and west back into Kentucky. So likely models, at least some models are indicating some of that will make it down to the south and east. Here you look at it about 11:30. Notice some of that heavier rain getting close to the Tri-Cities there. Northern parts of Kingsport may have some downpours by 11:30. That quickly races off to the south and southeast, and then we'll be looking at some more scattered showers and storms for your Monday. One more quick estimate here with the rainfall. Rainfall tallies of what we're thinking through Monday night. I'm thinking easily 3/4 of an inch, maybe 1.25 inches for many of us. This, yeah, you can pick out your hometown here on the map. There's going to be some spots though. Notice the pinks and purples. There's going to be some spots where we'll be looking at heavier rain than that. Maybe 2 inches plus. I wish I had better news, but unfortunately, so we have to monitor that flooding threat for tonight. Let's take a quick look at the extended forecast. Then one more time before we leave, we'll look again at the current flash flood situation. Here's that extended forecast. So I think once we get past Monday, in fact, I don't even think, I know that the threat for flooding is going to significantly diminish midweek. Tuesday, we still have a chance of some heavy rain in spots, but we're slowly but surely, we're dropping these rain chances. 60% tomorrow, and I have to be honest, in weather, in this case, your rain chance is really your amount of area multiplied by the confidence. And I have to say, I'm pretty confident. I would say I'm at least 90% confident that we're going to get a large portion of the area seeing rain tomorrow. In fact, if we were to go 100% confidence, I would say, this is where I'm getting my rain chances from. Let's say 100% confident that 60% of us get wet tomorrow. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. 60% of us will see the showers and storms for tomorrow. It doesn't mean anything severe necessarily, just means we are going to see some rain around. 40% chance on Tuesday, so we're going to start to break these rain chances up a little bit. 20% Wednesday. And this is more of a drier pattern. In fact, Wednesday and Thursday, many folks are just going to stay dry. So if we've been needing some dry weather, finally, we will start to see that as we head into Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, most of us will stay dry, but there could be a few pop-up showers and storms. 90 degrees, looking kind of hot. But you know what? It won't be quite as humid by then. So dew points will likely drop to the 60s. So you may not have much of a heat index. In other words, 91 degrees on Thursday will likely feel pretty much like 92, maybe 93. Saturday, Sunday, that humidity comes right back. Then those rain chances go right back up again. Let's see, we have one more question. Jacob Reynolds watching here. Marion, Virginia, flooding in certain places. You are exactly correct. In fact, I want to wrap up with that. I want to go back to the flooding threat for right now because that is what we're mainly monitoring. Thankfully, like I said, we're not seeing severe storms. That's at least some positive news, but man, the flooding has just been relentless. So I wish I had a little better news in the meantime for that. And I know it's not everybody, but dang, man, it was so bad up there. Ryan and I went up there just a couple days ago, and I mean, it was flooding into folks like the houses and mudslides and you name it. Just not good, not a good situation. Real quickly, one more time, here's a look at satellite radar. Before I go back to that real quick, let's also look at these flood advisories still in effect here. The one in Smith County in effect till 8:45, I believe. Russell County may be a smidge later. But anyway, so here's your current flood advisories. Some of these areas already had an inch to inch and a half of rain that's already fallen. We've actually exceeded that now in many of those locations. We still have flood watches in effect for Buchanan and Dickinson County, mainly because of all that heavy rain up to the north and west. Here's a different viewpoint. I think this pinpoints it better. This is a little more similar to a high resolution looking radar. You see that, look at that, eastern parts of Grundy there. Woo, some heavy rain there. I'll tell you that. Let's see. Let's pull up the rainfall rates again. Actually, we're getting some new information now. For Washington County? Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is from the Weather Service. Flash flood warning for northeastern Washington County and southwestern Virginia. This until 12:45, so this has been Doppler radar indicated. Thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area. Between 1 to 1.7 inches of rain have fallen.
Smith County as well.
Oh, and Smith County as well. We just got that as, thank you so much, sir. Skylar Doyle helping me here in the Weather Center as we're looking at this. 1.8 inches of rain up there. Okay, let's go ahead and pin back out here 1 second. We'll look back at the most recent flood advisories here real quick, folks. Here in a minute, it may take it a minute to populate for Washington County, but we do have, it's a flood warning. Actually, 1 second. I'll get this to pop up here real quick. So flood warning. It may be just a little slow to populate, but anyway, we do have that most recent information. That's for Washington County and also into Smith County. We still have those flash flood advisories as well, the flood advisories technically. But flood warning should pop up here shortly is kind of what we're thinking. We just got that from the Weather Service. Let's also go back to the flood advisory map here. The flood advisories are still effective, like this is still updated information. I'm still waiting to get this to highlight on the map for the flood warnings. And then those flood watches still in effect for Dickinson and Buchanan counties. Let's go ahead and go to radar briefly here. Let's talk about that. So we've been mentioning Smith County a lot. Notice, for good reason, these rain showers and downpours have been just training over the same area over and over and over. So the reason for that flooding in Washington County, if you zoom in here, it's not far from Saltville, just to the south, north of Glade Spring, Virginia. Look at the heavy rainfall. All the reds, the oranges there indicating the heaviest of the rain. So yes. See what we can pull up here. There we go. Thank you. So here's the flash flood warnings. Now you can see it in effect. Let's put this in loop. There we go. So you got some of that heavy rainfall in Smith County back into Washington County. That little part right there, that's where you can see that warning for Washington County, Virginia. That extends back into Russell County as well. All that heavy rain, folks, is still coming down. And then if you look back to the north and west, we still got more heading this way. Back just to the north of the viewing area. If you look into Buchanan County, there's some more showers up that way. That will be trailing down this way too. Let's see. Also, let's talk about that flash flooding because that also includes some of these streams and drainage areas. Some of these areas that typically flood anyway that are flood prone. We have some names listed here: Dean's Branch, Dickey Creek, Locust Cove Creek, Laurel Creek, Comer's Creek, and hopefully I'm getting these names correct. Let me know in the chat if one of these sound a little off here. I am trying to get these correct. Little Tumbling Creek, Little River, Hungry Mother Creek, Middle Fork and Holston River, Laurel Springs Creek, Beaver Creek, Merchant Creek. There's several of these. Crewy Branch, hopefully I said that correctly. Campbell Creek, East Fork, Hopkins Creek Branch, Hopkins Branch, and then the Gorges Branch, it looks like there. Some of the names listed. Those are the current flash flood warnings and also the heavy rain in association with that. See if we have some more questions here. Linda Stalbus, thank you so much. Joe Burns is watching. Hey, Kit, have you thought the weather predictions as of late are harder to predict? So, yeah, I mean, a lot of times there's a lot going on with that. I think sometimes, especially convective thunderstorm forecasting is kind of hard in general. We could get into some of the nitty gritty and specifics with that. But, yes, I have noticed, seems like certain model runs here, especially lately, not the best, but at least thankfully we do have a good general consensus of models. And usually here lately, the IBM graph, several runs have been showing this heavy rain potential for this evening and tonight. And I'm like, ooh, with pretty much every single run showing the same thing, just with the timing being a little different. Yeah, I'm like, it's going to start raining pretty heavy for tonight. But yeah, no, that's a great question there, Joe Burns. I agree. Let's see, this past week seems... For example, this past week, multiple radars have showed a red spot over Banner Elk. Yeah, some of the forecasting has been a little off, and it's still, hopefully things will just continue to improve in the future. Definitely hoping the best. Early Dog Hilton, miss Johnny Wood. I do too. Johnny Wood was the best. He was one-man band. He could do all of it. All right, let's see. Go back in here and take a quick look again at Smith County if you're watching from Marion. Some of that heaviest rain there includes just maybe a smidge to the west there of downtown Marion, and then down to the south and southwest, including Chilhowie back towards Love's Mill, getting ready to have some of that heavy rain. Page Hollow, we've been seeing a lot of heavy rain as well. Saltville has been coming through there, dropping bucket loads of rainfall. See if we can do a real quick estimate on the past 24 hours again, see how much rain has fallen, because I can tell you one thing, it's been raining a lot in Southwest Virginia. First of all, let's do the 3-hour totals. Here's some of the most recent 3-hour totals there from Smith back into Washington County, Russell County as well, 2.5 inches there, just south and east of Rosedale. Rainfall rates. This was some of the earlier rainfall rates. Now, I will be honest, these are actually exceeding this now. So some of those rainfall rates are actually going a little bit faster than that. Northeast Tennessee still kind of missing out on the bulk of this. So Future Track is still indicating that some of this will be moving in. It may take it a few more hours to eventually move into Northeast Tennessee, but we will start to see some of that heavier rain moving in here as well. Just going to take a little bit longer. Back up to this here real quick. So we're going to do one more real quick recap, and then I'll get off here for a bit. We'll start looking at some of the show stuff. We're doing shows tonight. Assuming we're on time, it'll be 10 o'clock on Fox 39, news at 10, and then also we'll be doing News 5 WCYB at 11 o'clock, and then you can watch the latest forecast there. All right, recapping real quick. We still have those flash flood warnings in effect here for Smith County back into Washington County, Virginia. We've seen observed flooding for Russell and Washington counties, including the towns there of Garden and Honaker, where you've seen some of that observed flooding. And then heavy rain now also in Marion and to the south, pushing off to the south-southeast very slowly. I think some of these have been reading about 14 miles per hour, some of them varying a little bit, but still moving very slowly, which is going to add to the rainfall totals. We still have that flash flood warning for eastern parts of Russell County as well. And then I'm hoping some of this rain that's really heavy there in eastern Buchanan County towards Whitewood, kind of hoping that may bypass Russell County. We sure have seen it. I know we've seen a lot of rain in Tazewell County too, back towards Richlands. Back into this back up, here's Dixon County towards Hayside. Some heavy rain there just to the southwest of Hayside, very close though. Some more rain will be moving into Wise County here shortly. We'll have to monitor that because that's got some pretty heavy rainfall rates as well. So that's the broader perspective. Tune in to WCYB tonight. We'll have the latest forecast. Also Fox 39 News at 10. Hopefully that will be on time. For the meantime, though, if you have any more questions, put them in the chat. Love to get to those. Thank you for everybody watching, and be